Hello, welcome everybody. I've got the top 8 deck lists here. Thanks from Jesse from the Winning Agenda for providing me these top 8. Um, I have, after the end of this video, a stats breakdown of percentages of decks playing certain cards, which I find very interesting. I also have the top 8 versus the general playing field, and I find that really telling of what makes it to top 8. But here, starting off, we have Sorcerer, a water air build. In this top 8, there are 3 decks that were running a significant amount of water, which is very cool. Probably a meta call and meta shift a little bit. But this deck has Men of Lang, Sneak Thief, Court Gesture for some discard. Like it's Sorcerer discard is kind of what it feels like, and then playing Devil's Egg and Maddening Bells to Sneak Thief or a Phase Assassin with Stealth or Void Walk is very Avatar of Air esque, but that's very cool. And then Grapple Shot down here with one of the most played ordinary cards there is. Sneak Thief is very cool. Is very not widely played, but I can see it be very useful against like a Death Speaker or other artifact heavy deck. Sling Pixies for early defense. Phantasmal Shade is it's a really good beater, but it dies very easily to even like foot soldiers, so I'm interested in how that played out. But I like the Court Gesture, Men of Lang, Grapple Shot, like the discard part of this deck. It's very cool. So nice job on top 8. All right, here in another top 8 list, we have Battle Mage. I'm pretty sure Battle Mage got two spots in top 8. Well, I guess we'll find out. Here we have a core package with Trinket and Crossbow. Crossbow is really interesting. This Battle Mage list is playing some beefier minions, which is really cool to see. So get some early damage with with your minions, and then come and finish with Battle Mage, and maybe use that for some card draw and killing their small stuff. Iron Shackles in Australia and New Zealand, I'm pretty sure Chaos Twister is banned, so Iron Shackles is another good removal card. If not, it can be kind of played around, but it's what you got to use without Chaos Twister. Crown of the Victor on Battle Mage is absolutely terrifying. Plume Pegasus on 2 through a tower is a really good aggressive start line, and looks like a really cool Battle Mage list. So congrats on top 8. Here's the third top 8 list, a Seer Water Earth deck, which is just very interesting. Entangled Terrain here is one I wanted to call out. Entangled Terrain, I think, is probably one of the underplayed cards. Thanks, Drew, for playing the Entangled Mage deck. Entangled Terrain is very strong. If you can still do your game plan without Entangled Terrain messing it up. Rolling Boulder is a great finisher in any deck. Avatar of Air plays 3 of them for that exact reason. Angel's Egg, you get 1 of those down, you get 2 of them, it's just almost game over. Hydra is terrifying, you have to kill them with lethal or bury them. Giant Shark is a menace to try to get into. Only one self-same. Copying their big thing or copying a Hydra or a Pudge Butcher is really good. Tufted Turtles is one of the premier water defensive cards, but it's very good there. 2 Common Sense, a lot of Plague of Frogs I saw in these competitions, a lot of chump blocks, but also with the manuscript, you draw 7, which is just insane. Stormy Seas is a really good, it's the water version of Cave In, Drown, and Bury, either or. An Earthquake is an interesting one here. You're playing a lot of water sites, so like then you turn off a lot of your bury effects, but also you can move your minions around on water, so that's really cool. I'm sure there was some good play lines with that. And looks like a pretty standard site base. Quagmire is another one that's gone up in my standings because it's very similar to Entangled Terrain. It can give you an extra turn, essentially, of no damage. And just lock in. It's really good against Pathfinder. It just locks them down. And Quagmire, I think, is a very underplayed site as well. So congrats on top 8. All right, we got another battle mage list here. Playing the 2 on color cores and stone, Trinket Hammer and Victor. Flaming Sword is like a battle mage, yes or no, kind of. I've seen it played, it's not, kind of not. Grim Reaper's terrifying with grapple shots. Falconer, Falconer on 1, get a bats is 3 power on turn 1. Yes, it's on your starting home site, but that is a very strong first play. Or you're playing it on 2, you get 3 power on 2. I've been finding that a boss troll or a hippogriffs or Highland Falconer or any way you can get a three power on board turn 2 is kind of where the aggressive decks want to be. Headless Haunt is a really good one here. It has built-in evasion with the teleport. Most of the time, mid or late game, there is a better than 50 or 60% Headless Haunt's going to land. And even if it doesn't land, it's still this random threat that they're going to have to worry about. So it's a very good mind game there. Phase Assassin, the free 3-hit, playing it up on their second, next to their home site on 2, is that 3 power on turn 2. You do an air site and then another tower, and you can get this guy out on turn 2. So turn 2, 3 power is where a lot of people want to be. Withering Hero, I'm not too sold on this guy. It's a 4 power flyer, so that's why he's here. But this minion base here has Haunt, Phase Assassin, Hippogriffs, Withering Hero is a very strong, aggressive minion base here. Magic Browse. Browse can be a finisher. You can go and find something, whatever you need. 4 Grapple Shot is a very strong card. The tempo you get from hitting for whatever the minion is plus attacking is huge. Infiltrate is super backbreaking if they don't have a way to deal with it. And Leap Attack is almost another grapple shot. The strike and then you can still attack. So very good there. And Poison Nova, if you're playing center of the board, Battle Mage or Avatar of Earth, this is just a board wipe. So it's very good. Nice job on top 8. We'll move on to the top 4 now. Top 4, Sorcerer, Earth, Air, mid-range, I'm assuming. But Boss Scroll and Grim Reaper, very scary 2-drops. I'm sure Grim Reaper is not a 2-drop in the stack. It's more probably 4 or 5. Autumn Unicorn, turn 3. This guy, it's another playing above the rate, or even if you turn, I guess you could do Onyx Core, Earth Sight, turn 2, a tower, and get this guy out on turn 2, which is even scarier than the 3 power on turn 2. You have to have a berry or some way to deal with this efficiently, or it's going to run you over. Same thing with Phalanx. So there's a lot of 4-drops in this list. There's the 6, 8 4-drops that are beefy minions. So turn 3, play 2 sites, 2 Earth sites at some point, and then on turn 3 play a tower. And you can really a turn 3 Pudge, if it's not buried, will run somebody over and just throw a huge wrench into their game plan. Atlas Wanderers is a really good Genesis effect. Being able to rearrange a Pudge Butcher or somebody else, or to get into a more advantageous position, or even steal one of their sites so you can more effectively attack it yourself. Very strong here. Nice job on top 4. All right, here we have a Pathfinder Fire Earth list. It looks very similar to Drew's Warpath deck. A little heavier. I think he only plays 1 Manticore, and 19 magics is a lot. But 3 common sense, and you having a lot of common sense targets is really good. Warp Spasm is an interesting include here. I assume it's essentially doing the same thing as Gigantism, being able to attack for 10 with Giantess, or Cavalry for 6 can even work sometimes. But Warp Spasm is definitely interesting to include. I'd be interested on how often you were waiting on 3 Fire Threshold here, but 2 Earthquake is really good for Pathfinder, being able to rearrange sites can help. Even if you're stuck in a spot, you can rearrange yourself. And Flame Wave is a great finisher. It will hit anything on the board. Very, very good. So, very solid list here. The Fire Earth aggro deck lists have come down to almost a very refined list at this point. You can probably tweak one or two things like Warp Spasm, but the Quarrelsome Kobolds, the Vile Imps, it's very good. All right, and here we have second place, Death Speaker, Summoning Sphere, Nimishjin. Only one Nimishjin and Summoning Sphere, so maybe this isn't like a game plan of the deck, but looks very like a very good Death Speaker list here. Got all the cores, the manuscript plus Plague of Frogs, the triple thresholds, and the Great Old One. I don't think Death Speaker has much of an issue trying to get to their threshold, so very cool to see a Great Old One. This is probably because people are playing Gnome Hollows or maybe even a Scarecrow, who knows, to avoid the Nimishjin combo, but Death Speaker can get 3 or 4 cores out on turn 5 and then drop a Great Old One and go deal with it. So that's a really cool include here. Grandmaster Wizard for card draw, Fey Changeling for tempo, just bouncing their big things. If they play a unicorn, bounce it, and then their curve is kind of messed up at that point. Deep Sea Mermaid is another more apprentice wizards. Vile Imps just for some chip removal, and a cool Death Speaker list. Very nice. Nice job on second place. And here we have the champion of the Midwinter tournament in Australia, the Avatar of Air list. This looks very similar to what Kevin was able to win the Sorcery League TTS League Season 4 with. The only real big difference here is Iron Shackles, with Chaos Twister being banned. Iron Shackles is the next best include. 3 rolling boulders they're just so mean. With Avatar of Air's ability and be able to control where their boulder goes so effectively, fly up and throw it back to your home site is very strong. Rolling boulder kind of goes down in value when you have to throw it at your opponent, and then your opponent has it now. What to do? But another difference is here's Browse. I'm not sure how Browse feels in this list. I bet it's probably okay. Since you're playing on 4 mana a lot of the time, maybe 5, a Browse gets a little awkward to work in. But if you just have a 3-drop and you're at 4, you just throw a Browse and go find whatever you need. Flanking Maneuver is a huge surprise card, I think, kind of like with Teleport. Flanking Maneuver is doing a very similar thing, but it also draws a card. The ability to surprise attack somewhere is very strong. It's almost like not a counter spell, but like a instant speed interaction your opponent can't deal with, or can't. They would have to play around, but they can't respond to it. Like, you play a minion, they can play a minion, or they can set up sites defensively or whatever. They have a chance to respond, but like Flank Maneuver or Teleport or Grapple Shot, these things that allow these large movement swings, is something I think the player base is going to get better at seeing or predicting. But right now, Flanking Maneuver, Teleport, and the Grapple Shots are very good. The Free Cities and Bottomless Pit, Bottomless Pit are very strong. The Avatar of Air deck can get away with running so little hard removal, because if you play your sites correctly, you can always be nearby some kind of site removal, like Bottomless Pit or Free City, and pushing your enemy minions into them. The Cloud Spirit and Highland Falconer, like I said, Highland Falconer on 1 is really strong, especially in Avatar of Air, because you can play a site in front of you, push your bats, and an attack for 2 on turn 2 a lot of the time. If your opponent is playing defensive and you don't have that way to attack on turn 2 or 3, you've already lost on 4 or 5 damage, maybe 6 damage, and you're losing on tempo essentially at that point. So attacking early, if you're being aggressive on turn 2 and 3, is very important. I'm not sure what else to say here. Nice job. Avatar of Air is a very hard deck to pilot, so congrats on the win. And we'll move on to stats. All right, starting here, we have the most popular avatars. Left side here is top 8, and right side is everybody, including top 8. The most popular avatar overall was Death Speaker, but in the top 8 it was Sorcerer and Battle Mage, which was very cool. Battle Mage, there's 3, and 2 of them made the top 8. So I also experienced a lot of Battle Mage at the Quarters Cup. So I think Battle Mage is a very popular deck. A lot of people need to watch out for. The 1 Avatar of Air in the top 8, and the 2 in the playing field, and 2 Avatar of Earth. And I know one of those is the Fire Earth Avatar of Earth list that I kind of put together. So that's pretty cool. The 1 Seer list and the 1 Seer list over here. So but the other thing that was super interesting is the Wave Shaper, Geomancer, and Flamecaller. I think this is the most we've seen of the beta avatars in a competitive environment, so that's really awesome. We'll move on to, I think, the most popular artifacts. The most popular artifacts here are the cores, kind of obvious there, but Rolling Boulder here is the big scary one that I wanted to call out. Rolling Boulder is so punishing, and it finishes games because of the pseudo piercing projectile it has. So watch out for Rolling Boulder. Tor's Hammer Trinket here is another interesting one. Only 26% overall, but 38% in top 8. Trinket is almost card advantage. It allows you to do something every single turn. It allows you to trade profitably with like a spiders looking at a spiders. Tor's Trinket is a very, very good card. Moving over to Air. Here with Air, we have Grapple Shot being the most popular Air card. Makes a lot of sense. You can see here 19 versus the next most popular is 9. Grapple Shot is just a huge swing. If you get to hit and strike in a single turn, a 5 power minion, that's 10 damage in a turn. That's huge. And Grim Reaper being the, or I guess Blink also being the next most popular. Blink is very good with the surprise, hey, I'm here now. Makes a lot of sense here. But Highland Princess in their overall field versus top 8 makes a lot of sense because there was a lot of Death Speakers that didn't make top 8, but Highland Princess is very good in a Death Speaker list, getting all the cores and the extra card advantage. So that's really good. Moving on to Earth. All right, here in Earth, our most common spells are Common Sense and Bury. Bury being just the most useful removal spell. It's doesn't matter what toughness it is or power or whatever. Just bury it and it dies. Common Sense being really good anti almost anything. You can go get Disenchant, you can go get Scent Hounds, you can go get other Common Sense targets or a Heat Ray to win the game. Common Sense is a very strong card because it represents so many other cards. And Autumn Unicorn, 38% versus 30%, so that's pretty similar. Cave Trolls is anti-Root Spiders, a little bit higher on the top 8 because if you don't answer their Root Spider, it's a very hard game to play at that point. Gigantism at 22% and 25% is very common, is very similar. Yeah. Moving on to Fire. All right, here in Fire, on the top 8, the most popular one by percent of decks, that was playing 1 copy, is Poison Nova. Poison Nova is so huge. It is a board wipe if you're playing any kind of aggressive minion or avatar. Even if it's a sorcerer and you can tap and move up 1, and you can get a board wipe almost. With everybody playing 4 to 6 sites, a lot of sites are played centrally, and if you are on, I think it's 8 or 13 squares respectively, you are hitting 90% of the playfield. So Poison Nova is a big one to watch out for on turn 5 or 4 off of a ramp piece. Violent here is just so efficient. Blaze is huge with the movement and the little extra chip damage, and Heat Ray being in a quarter of the decks is, I think, probably mostly a finisher. But oh, I guess Death Dealer is 1/4% of overall, and on the top 8, about 12%. Only one made it. Death Dealer is a huge effect, don't get me wrong, but that 7 mana is a real cost. And if you're playing Death Dealer, you're probably getting overrun. It's not really like a proactive play, it's a more responsive play. So it's a very cool, very strong card, but you got to play it right. Moving on to Water. Water here, in the top 8, Ruler, Thule, and Captain, and 1/4 of the decks. I guess also Self and Plague and Atlantean Fate. These are all strong water cards. Atlantean Fate and Ruler, Thule, and overall make a little bit more over Plague and Captain. But Atlantean Fate, I feel like, is like, if you're playing Water, you're just playing Atlantean Fate. You just gotta watch out for it. Don't play your minions nearby each other. Play them on ordinary sites. Atlantean Fate, you have to keep in mind. Water is a little underplayed, but it's a great surprise element, I would say. Moving on to sites. All right, in sites, we all know the towers are amazing. That extra mana a turn early is huge. Holy Ground on the top 8. I think I would like to see a little more villages, but Holy Ground is very good. Pillars of Zeros is a huge anti-death speaker card. The incidental life gain it has, it's a good card. Play more Pillars of Zeros. The other thing I didn't see a lot of was Smokestacks of Gnak. Smokestacks is a great card against Avatar of Air or other Yggdrasil decks. I think the rule was changed that you can't play Yggdrasil and Crossroads in the deck, so that kind of probably brought the power level down of that Yggdrasil decks. Cloud City, that free movement is so good. Observatory to smooth out your draws makes a lot of sense. Floodplain, I wanted to call out here. Floodplain is, I feel like, the most popular water deck or water site there is. The double threshold it can provide really turns on Atlantean Fate or a drowned effect, or maybe a sharks could attack or something. The pirate ship is very good with Floodplain. Floodplain is a great utility site. If you can Smokestacks or Atlantean Fates an opponent's Floodplain, I think it might be worth it. So it makes a lot of sense there. All right, thanks everybody. Thanks for your time. Thanks for watching. I would hope to earn your subscription. So thank you very much. I'll see you all next time.